Not now. I'm Majora's Mask King. Oh. Initiate protocol, first impressions. This is not a drill. I repeat, this is not a drill. Okay, this is a drill. But this is not a drill! Hello, Internet! Welcome back to Mutton Gaming. I'm the Mutton Gamer, and welcome to the final week of Breaking in the PS4 month. This week, since I didn't have enough time because of other projects, I'm doing a first impressions look at Shadows of Mordor, because we've already looked at a demo, a launch title, an exclusive, and now let's take a look at a third party. So here it is, Shadows of Mordor. The game begins in a, oh lord, the frame rate, ugh! It was better in gameplay, why is it so bad in pre-rendered cinematics? Was this really what they shipped out at launch? Anyhow, it starts out with a series of flashbacks with our main character, Talion, a ranger from Gondor, and his family being attacked by the forces of Sauron. And I'm sorry if I mispronounce any of these names, I'm a Star Wars nerd, not a Tolkien nerd. It turns out he was banished from death as a curse from someone in the Black Hand. He is now bound to an elven wraith, and they begin their quest to find their own peace. This wraith has no memory of his past, and you have to find pieces of his shattered memories. You find relics from his past with the guidance of Gollum. You also fight to free human slaves with a resistance led by a former comrade of Talion, and you get to kill a bunch of orcs in a chain of command throughout your adventure to find peace and uncover truths of this wraith's past. You know, I feel like I could get into the story, but there doesn't feel like there's much structure to it. At time of writing, I haven't gotten to the end of the game, but all the different missions are spread out. There's an Uruk with mutton chops that you help become a war chief to help you on your quest, and you have to kill the other war chiefs, so the story is about killing orcs and getting revenge. You follow to find artifacts that bring back the wraith's memories of his life, so the story is about finding his past. You fight to free human slaves from the orcs, so the game is about freeing humans. Do you see what I'm getting at? I'm fine with large, open, sandbox gameplay, but it's a little difficult to wrap your head around when the three main stories there don't provide any structure, not to mention all the side quests. That's not to say that this can't work. Skyrim did this kind of thing too. However, you could follow one specific main quest line through until you got the hang of the game. Here, it just throws you in, expecting you to juggle the narrative complexities. They're decent stories on their own, mind. I just would have liked a little more stringing along, so they didn't feel like I was side questing throughout the entire game. Or at least what little of it I played. The world design is beautiful, though. While looking at a human looks like you're staring deep into the uncanny valley, the orcs are well designed, even colorful. And the land of Mordor isn't at all as evil or shadowy as they make it out to be. It's a nice countryside with grass and mountains. I didn't see much water, and most of the architecture is in ruins because orcs appear to not know how a hammer and nail works to make shelter, but it looks much nicer when compared to the movies' depictions of Mordor. The visuals are very reminiscent of, well, Skyrim again. It's like it's a standard tone for fantasy games. Music in the game is forgettable, and though the music in the title is really good and I love it, the music as a whole seems like it was copy-pasted from the films. I'm not sure if that's good or bad though. It could be good if they wrote their own music because it means they got the style for Middle-earth down right. It could be bad because if it was original, I wouldn't know if I should give it that praise or not. Although the music where they chant the war chief's name as you go to fight him, that's kind of epic. Voice acting is actually very fitting for the characters and places. Same thing with the sound effects. Everything sounds the way it should, from the cries of animals to deflecting an axe with your sword. Gameplay is very much like Assassin's Creed, where you can do parkour, stealth kill most orcs, and generally do really cool stuff. However, the higher-ups in the orcish armies are a lot harder to kill. They have strengths and weaknesses that make them a crap ton harder to take down, and because you can't do anything else in the game until you've taken down a number of war chiefs, the highest of the orcs, you basically get screwed if you go in with a mindset of owning everything like you do in Assassin's Creed. It requires a great deal of strategy, and while I could potentially take down a war chief if he was on his own, the difficulty I have is that commanders usually have a bunch of dudes with them, and more orcs come running to the fight. So not only is this guy difficult to kill, but he brings his friends along.
At least this leads to the Nemesis system that I actually kind of like, despite the difficulty. You see the chain of command and orcs fighting amongst each other for power, and the fact that it actively made me hate a particular officer that killed me off on a number of occasions is something to be proud of. Not the killing me part, the designers designing that part. It's not fun to die. Something I don't like is having to perform side missions to go through the main storylines. For example, some of my favorite sandbox games include the Batman Arkham games, Skyrim, and Assassin's Creed, before Ubisoft screwed it up. In those games, you could do extra stuff to power up if you wanted, but alternatively, you could play through the main storyline, then do all the extra stuff if you're still hungry for more. This game takes a lesson from Saints Row 2, where you have to do extra stuff before the main storyline. Only difference is that you do that extra stuff here to make the main missions more accessible because they are extremely hard. Granted, Saints Row 2 is a terrific game, but I'm not sure if I like that style of sandbox.
Now, I haven't actually beaten this game. Therefore, I am not going to give it a grade because this is just my first impressions, not a full review. But overall, first impressions are pretty good. I might have to revisit it sometime later. But the PS4 as a whole, really good console. Well, that's it for the that's it for breaking in the PS4 month. And now I get to start doing videos that I want to do, not things that I'm scheduled to because of an arbitrary theme. See you all next week.